I press yes. So everybody, welcome to this session for this evening on the topic, a leadership paradox. The goal is not the goal. A little bit of a tongue twister there. At the same time, this is a topic that I would say that has been in my mind for quite some time, because initially it started as a dilemma for him, and then realizing that paradox, I was struggling with that paradox, how to handle it, and over the years being more the word would be being more comfortable with it, being able to live with that particular paradox, and now being able to use it in the best possible way in my life. So that's why I decided, okay, I'm going to bring this topic and have a discussion with all of you. And what part of what I want to also know is to what extent are you experiencing this, if you are noticing it, because as a paradox, not many people may have experienced it, may have noticed it. So I'm just putting a screen share my what do you call my what do we call this, my my slides, sorry. Lost forward for a moment. Again, I would like to welcome all of you, and for those of you who are joining us for the first time, just like to quickly mention that this session are organized under the Institute of Neuro-Semantics Malaysia. We have the International Society of Neuro-Semantics in Malaysia. We have quite a number of members active in this institute. What we do is that currently the first week of the month, we have the first Thursday of the month, we have topics on Neuro-Semantics series. So this is we bring in topics connected to leadership, looking at I will use the word unpacking it from the neurosemantics perspective, because it gives us greater clarity. And leadership is an area which is important to each and every one of us. So this topic on the goal is not the goal as a paradox. So what we'll be doing this evening is to unpack it from the neurosemantics perspective. On the second Thursday of the month, we have the theme for the discussion is on relationship series. So we talk about areas on relationship, how we human beings connect with one another, and the way that we relate with one another. On the third Thursday of the month, the topic shifts into meta coaching. So these are a little bit more, I would say, more in-depth discussion, more specific. So those people who are in coaching, and it's also open to anyone who wants to know about coaching. So we have this series on the third Thursday of the month, and the fourth Thursday of the month, we shift gears to go into parenting. And as we have this discussion on leadership for this evening, as parents, I hope that you, those of you who are parents, you have already realized that parenting is leadership. So that's also the role that you need to play as leaders. So again, welcome to this evening's session. And as far as Tunisia is concerned, it's afternoon. I'd like to begin by introducing myself for those of you I'm meeting for the first time. I'm Mazuki. I'm a certified trainer and executive coach. I help entrepreneurs and executives systematically develop leadership, communication, and coaching skills so that you can bring out the best in yourself and in others. By actualizing that, you bring more meaningfulness and joy into your life and the lives of others around you. Why I decided to invite you to this discussion this evening regarding leadership, this paradox in leadership regarding goals, because when we talk about goals, we have been introduced to goals. We have been going for goals for, I don't know, since we were born. We have those goals. Things like at the age of about 6 or 7 years old, for many of us have goals of having a bicycle, to ride a bicycle. So goals are part of what allows us to notice the successes that we have in our life, because goals, achieving goals give us the sense of success in life. And with that, goals help us to experience the happiness, health, and wealth in our life. So that's the reason why we are talking about goals this evening. Another reason is that when we have goals, goals help us to stay motivated to do things. It infuses us with energy, drive, and vitality as we go for our goals, as we achieve them. So we experience those energy, the drive inside of us. Now, another aspect why goals are important is that having goals give us the, I would say, the motivation to overcome setbacks, because when we put our mind to the goals, even though we have suffered a setback, for example, many of us are suffering this setback of COVID-19 for, now it's more than a year already. So goals allow us to stay resilient, to be able to bounce back from whatever setback that we've gone through, and from there to be able to master life. So in this context of COVID today, some of us are holding on, probably maybe our hands have slipped away from the goal, but we are biting biting to the goal, holding on so that we can continue on in our life. And the thing about goals is that goals allow us to experience the meaningfulness of life, because when we achieve our goals, we experience that satisfaction and gratification in ourselves, and it helps us, it makes us be grateful for achieving those goals. So we feel satisfied, we feel grateful, so it contributes to the well-being, our own healthy well-being in life. So these are the reasons why goals are important, and that's why I'm inviting you to be in this discussion regarding goals. Now, we have many different levels of goals. As individuals, we have people have goals about having a good job, having nice stuff in life. For example, I'm noticing behind BJ there's a nice wood carving and that statue there. So these are nice stuff to have. So these are small goals, big goals that we have in life. And for many people, they want the individual personal goal is probably to have the perfect partner. How you define perfect is entirely up to you. For some people, perfect means to be able to swim 10 laps of the Olympic swimming pool. I don't know. Okay, and to have lots and lots of money and things. So these are some goals that individuals have. Organizations do have goals. They have the sales goals, they have the operational goals, they have the profit goals for the company, and goals get us going. And when we bring it into the context of leadership, why goals are important is that in leadership, one of the things that I would say people in HR talk about is looking for leaders who have goal achievement drive. So having the the strong desire to achieve goal seems to be one of the characteristics that are required in leaders. So that tells us how important goals are. And if we were to look at the literature about leadership, leaders, it is stated that highly successful people have clearly written goals. So I don't know about you, how many of your goals that you have achieved, that was as a result of clearly written goals. How many of the goals that you have achieved just came out without having you writing it? However, you had that thought in your mind and you begin working towards them. So I hope that in this particular session this evening, we'll be able to explore on the one aspect of goal, how important, how powerful it is in our life. At the same time, what I would like to bring to you is this particular dilemma. I wonder whether you have experienced this dilemma. I have experienced it over and over again. So that's why I said to you that over the years, going through these experiences, I thought I'd put together this discussion and see how well you have also, if you have had any similar experience that we may discuss later. Now, this dilemma is this. There you are, and you begin to have fantasize about something, imagine a certain result that you want in your life, and then you put it out there as a goal. And say, yeah, I'm going to go for it. Yeah, I'm going to marry that person. Yeah, I'm going to get that job. So you put it out as a goal and you begin to working towards it. When we achieve that goal, how many of you experience that joy, that euphoria? I don't know how to put into words some of the things that maybe I don't have enough in my vocabulary to explain the feeling that I felt when I achieved some goals. For example, a small one would be when I was about 14 or 15, I wanted to take photographs, and my father said to me, why don't you use my camera and take photographs with that? I remember that sense of joy. Wow, being able to use a real camera. So there are small goals we have, and there are bigger goals, things like meeting this wonderful young lady and working so hard over the years and finally getting to marry her. Now we have 5 children and 10 grandchildren. So that's another, that's another goal. So when we achieve that goal, that joy, that excitement, it's just that I wonder how many of you have noticed this. The thing about goal is that after you experience that joy and excitement, as time goes by, those balloons may pop, and it doesn't seem such a great deal anymore. And then you realize that maybe this is not really it. I thought that this was the thing that I want in my life. But when I achieve it, I feel that sense of joy. After some time, that sense of it's now commonplace. Initially, it was something great. Now it's commonplace. And then you want something else. How many of you have that particular experience? Now, science has explained to us the process. Why is it that when we achieve something, we feel happy about it, and then after that, we feel less happy? Science call it social comparison. So that's the way science is telling us that, yeah, you achieve your goal, and then you realize that you thought that you'll be happy when you achieve it. When you actually achieve it, it is not, you were not as happy as you thought it was. The thing about it is that as you go for your goal over and over, you achieve something, you become happy, and then it drops down. And then you go for another goal, you feel so happy, and then it drops down. After some time, have you ever wondered, why bother? Because I'm going to be elated, and then the bubble is going to burst afterward. So why bother? So science has shown the process, but why is it that we are almost, if I were to say the word, addicted to goals? We set goals, we achieve them, we become so happy, so joyous, and then it feels as if the bottom just dropped out of it, and then we set another goal and another goal, and it becomes a never-ending story. So in order to understand the why of us experiencing that roller coaster, the joy, and then the blah, and then the joy again, and then the blah, and then the joy again, and then the blah that you experience, we need to step back a little bit from goals and look at it from a bigger perspective. And the bigger perspective is this thing called precession. I learned this more than 20 years ago, and the reason why I'm bringing it to you now is that because I'm beginning to understand it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, putting where I am right now. Precession is by definition the effect of bodies in motion on other bodies in motion. I believe some of you are familiar with this. For the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with this, I'll just go in quickly to give you an idea of what it means with respect to goal achievement. The effect of bodies in motion on other bodies in motion. So the example that I have shown you there is how if you were to drop, say, a stone into water, or you drop something into water, you notice the ripples going out. So the ripples going out is caused by precession, because the stone or the drop of water falling into water, precession caused the waves to go perpendicular to the direction of the initial impact. So that's precession. Very quickly, an example that I would like to give to you about precession is we can see that in nature, how bees, they are busy, noticing flowers around them. They fly towards the flower, and basically they go there in order to collect nectar. So that's the goal that the bee has, to collect nectar, and the intention for that is to make honey. And as the busy bee goes from one flower to another flower, bees having these hairy legs begin to collect the pollen from one flower, and then starts to drop the pollen on another flower, and in so doing, go in that back and forth motion of collecting nectar to make honey, the bee inadvertently, and this is what we refer to as the precessional effect of going from flower to flower, the bee inadvertently causes pollination. And pollination causes flowers to grow healthier, and with flowers you have trees growing, with trees you have fruits, with fruits you have animals coming in, eating the plants, eating the fruits. And basically what the bee is doing, even though the bee's goal is to collect nectar to make honey, the bee's true purpose on earth, caused by precession, is to support life form on earth. So that's basically what precession does. As far as the bee is concerned, I just want to collect honey. However, as far as the universe is concerned, you are there to support life form on earth. So taking this example of the bee, let's take a look at you. Every day, busy, 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 going to work, doing whatever it is that you're doing at work. And in that work, whatever job that you have, your intention is to make money to support your life. However, in that process of doing what you do at work, do you think that you don't create a precession from that back and forth motion? So similarly, just like the bee, in that action that we take in order to do our job, we are creating a precessional effect that's basically to support human living rate. So just as, for example, as coaches, meta coaches, there are a number of meta coaches in this room today. Our job is to coach one particular client at a time. It's just that in the process of doing that work, we are impacting other people in our lives. So the thing about it is that we are generating we are generating creative things, creative ideas in the industry, and from in all the industries around us, we are helping other people to live their lives. So that's basically what's happening. So this is where, bringing back to the context of goals, the job itself. So basically, even though as far as we are concerned, we are there to make money. However, our true reason for operating is the action. Because as far as the universe is concerned, it's motion. As we move around in our life to do the jobs that we need to do, we are in motion. And that motion is the one that is creating the precessional effect that is supporting human life form on Earth. So that's why when we make whatever money that we make from our jobs, whatever house that we make from our jobs, after that, we become dissatisfied again, because the universe wants us to keep moving. Because when we move, we are serving the I would say the purpose that this eternally regenerative universe wants us to perform. So basically, the goals are there. Goals are just the baits that the universe puts in front of us to keep us moving. That is why we experience this dilemma that when we achieve our goal, after some time we feel dissatisfied, we want something else, because the universe wants us to keep moving. So this is where we come to this paradox, that when we talk about the goal is not the goal, as far as I am concerned, taking the action, going for what I want to achieve, achieving that goal, that's my goal. However, as far as the universe is concerned, that's not the goal. Because as far as the universe is concerned, the action, what I do to achieve my goal, that's the real goal. So for many years, I've been thinking about this paradox, and what I realized that it is not so much as a paradox. However, because we are looking at it from two different levels, from two different perspectives, that's why it appears as a paradox. This goal is a valid goal when we look at it from first position, from my perspective, from my own eyes, from your own eyes. When you look at your goal, it's a valid goal. At the same time, this action, which is called the real goal, can only be seen when we go into fourth position. In neurosemantics, we talk about fourth position. There is the system position, because that action is what serves the system. The first goal, it serves us individually. The action as a goal serves the system. So that's how we come to this paradox. Okay, so it is not so much as a paradox. However, because we are looking at the things from different perspective. So instead of thinking which is the real goal, which is not the real goal, that is not the question. It is about embracing that both are valid goals from different perspectives. So I'm going to pause here so that I can invite questions or comments. Just quickly going to the comment that Karima mentioned that I will be posting the recording of this video in YouTube, and you'll be given the link for the YouTube. It's just that since this is a meeting, it will be an unlisted YouTube video, meaning to say only those who are given the link will be able to view this. It is not open to the public. And yes, Marilyn, my first, I would say, introduction to Precession was at Money and You. That was another lifetime ago. Okay, I'd like to invite anyone of you who want to add information. Go ahead, BJ.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Thank you. The processional effect for the honeybee is quite lovely in that it feeds humanity. As an executive coach, and I'm sure you come across this, more often than not, the processional effect is the loss of health, the breakdown of relationships, the mental games, that the loops that they got caught in. So it's often a non-resourceful processional effect that comes up. And so if I map that to the last slide, where the goal is not the goal, the action is the goal. It's the action that is often hurting. Comment, that's all.
Yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely, BJ. So that's why, and this is part of what I'm going to be covering in a short while. That's why when we unpack it from the neurosemantics perspective, when we talk about the well-formed outcome criteria, one of the criteria is ecology.
Right.
And when people go for their goals, not taking into account the full ecology of things, that's when the things that you mentioned just now, BJ, that's when it hurts them.
Thank you. Yes, I look forward to that upcoming piece.
Thank you, BJ. Yeah. Anyone else?
Hello.
Yes, Karima.
Hello. I have a small reflection on this. It's actually, yes, about action. And when we notice a relationship between two people, maybe who met on a trip or on, I don't know, they lived an event together. They were attracted to each other because they were on action.
I'm sorry, I've lost audio just now. I did not hear you.
They say, well, how did we fall in love with each other? Many things. But then all of a sudden, when everything is over, the relationship is over too. Because what was important was the action. If the action goes on, the relationship would go on. You see my reflection?
Yes. Absolutely.
So the goal is action, not the goal itself. While you're on the process, while you are in energy and in motion, in emotion, yes, that's what really matters. But once you reach the goal and you remain idle, idleness is not good. It's the devil's workshop. You know, when your brain is empty, so lots of bad ideas would come to your mind. it changes the whole process. It's not good. So making yourself busy with action, this is the essence of your life. Always move, always be in action. And even the universe is in permanent action. The universe is dilating all the time. It's getting bigger and bigger. So the human being should do the same, because we are part of this universe. And thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that reflection, because by definition, precession is the effect of bodies in motion on other bodies in motion. The moment one of the bodies stops motion, inaction, motion is gone. Precession stops. So that's why we want to be in motion. If this offers some insight to you, quite a number of years ago, I was involved in doing career transition for the army. And the army, they have people at the age of 40, 45. Because of the contract, their contract with the army expires, and they stop work from the army. And part of what the army does is that they bring people like us to train those who are retiring from the army to be able to do civilian work. It's just that, as one of them said, the army is very good in training people to fight for war, but they are not good at training people for peace. So many of those who, after they retire, they went into inactivity. They stopped because they don't know how to fit into society. And my shock was the statistics from the army was that many of them, in the time span of 2 years after retiring, they die. This was the statistics from the army. So that's why they engage us to train these people, to teach these people how to get jobs outside of the army, because the statistics show that if they don't get jobs outside of the army, they stop moving, they die. So that was shocking for me.
Yeah, that's why actually we should work for healthy retirement. A lot of people retire and they become like zombies. You know, they're living, but they feel like they're dead. And only dead people don't move, actually.
Yep.
So many countries do not have strategies for preparation for a healthy retirement. They just bid you farewell, say goodbye. It's over. You're no longer productive. Okay, you're no longer useful for the company and for the society, so they make you feel idle and useless. And this state of mind that you get, this negative state of mind, well, makes you a dead person. And many people actually die soon after they get retired. That's why we should work on getting strategies for a healthy and peaceful retirement. Actually, we never retire. As long as we are living, we should be on action all the time. I don't know, doing voluntary work, doing charity work, doing whatever it takes. Coaching, I'm happy. I'm a teacher. I'm a university teacher. Oh. And maybe I have about 12 years left, maybe, if I'm still alive. But I'm happy that I got into the world of coaching, because I know that after retirement from teaching, I would have something very, very useful to
Thank you.
Do for myself.
Sorry again?
In the first place, and for humanity. Really, really happy to be part of the coaching community.
Thank you, Karima. BJ, you have something to add?
Well, I see great value in inactivity, in the absence of activity, and in silence. And it's, you know, if we look at the meditation ritual, which I do every afternoon, is one part. Now, I guess is that debatable? Is that silence or is that activity? But also, it's in moments of silence where one can have access to, new ideas or new insights. And so there's also the paradox, I think, which is the theme of today, is if we're get caught up in our busyness, we can miss what's happening again. And that can be the action supersedes the goal.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that is why afterwards we are also going to go into when we talk about the action, it's not just any action, it's the quality of the action. So how I see BJ, when you mentioned about going into meditation, into silence, because that allows you to clear your mind so that you can, when you take action, your action is of higher quality. Action are different depending on the quality. And the quality of the precessional effects that you create depends on the quality of the action. So we'll be going into that in a short while. So that is why quiet times you are inactive. However, your mind is getting into clarity. What it does, it positions you to take effective action, to take action that are of higher quality, as opposed to action that are random and not directed. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on a little bit with the.
I have a small reflection on what Radomski has just said. Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Being physically inactive does not mean that your brain is not at work. Moments of silence mean that your brain is at work. You're actually in action. Having that time of peace, preparing for war. And life is an alternation between war and peace. Okay, so even when you're meditating, yes, you're actually organizing things into your brain. So we are always in action, even when we are sleeping and dreaming. See the beautiful dreams we see, even the nightmares. It means that our brain is in action. We're always in action. We can't help it. If it is not physical activity, it's brain activity, okay, or both. All right. As I said, only dead people do not move or inactive, whether physically or cognitively. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. One of the characteristics of self-actualizing people is that they value solitude, because it is through solitude that they are able to clear their thinking in order to take effective action. Yeah, so that's one of the characteristics of self-actualizing individuals, people. Okay, so moving on, what do we do about this paradox? To accept it. Yeah. Accepting paradox, because what we want to understand that even though the goals that we set may not be the real goals that the universe designs for us. However, goals are important, because as we were discussing just now, without goals, we will not act. When we don't act, there is no motion. Without motion, there is no precession. So that's the first one. The second one that I can think of about why goals are important is that goals determine the intensity of action and the quality of the result. An example that I can give is if any one of you have ever tried to boil water using the open stove. The high intensity flame is the one that will cause the water to boil. However, if you put the flame at low intensity, you leave it for 24 hours, it will not boil because the intensity is too low. And just a couple of days ago, I went out for my morning walk. I decided, okay, I'm going to do a fast walk this morning. Typically, I have my phone. I switch on, the phone will tell me 1 kilometer, 9 minutes, 23 seconds, that sort of thing. So I decided a couple of days ago, I'm going to go at the pace of less than 9 minutes per kilometer. And I noticed this. The other times that I walk more than 9 minutes, sometimes I take 9.5 minutes per kilometer. Well, I sweat, I got my body warm. However, I noticed that when I walk less than 9 minutes per kilometer, the afterburn was much longer. Because after I worked out, a couple of hours after that, I could still feel the burn in my body. So because of the intensity. Yeah. So this is where why we need goals, because without goals, we will taking action. However, because our action is of low intensity, we may not even achieve the kind of pre-sessional effect that we are intending. Yeah. And the other reason why goals, setting out goals for ourselves, personal goals for ourselves are important, because achieving goals brings us relief. You know, that sense of joy, that sense of relief, and that relief rejuvenates us. And that's why setting goals are important. Otherwise, you're working and working and working, expending your energy without any end. And because of that, you are going to tire yourself. So achieving those goals give us that relief. And that is why when we set goals, this is how we hack our brain, is that don't just set the outcome goals. You also set action goals for the day. So this in performance management system speak, you set the KPIs and the lag KPI, the sales, the profit, and you also set the lead KPI, the behaviors that will bring towards that. So as you measure, don't just measure achieving the outcome, but measure the behaviors. How much of the behaviors? Because in a day, oh yes, I made 20 calls today. I don't know yet if I get the sales, but since one of my behavioral goal is making 20 calls, I experience that relief and rejuvenation. So this is how we can hack that this concept that goals bring us relief. So that's why when we achieve goals, we want to learn how to accept that we have achieved them and appreciate, because by accepting and appreciating, we bring relief, and that allows us to start off the new day with a higher level of energy. So it's important for us to have goals, because at least with these 3 points, one is that without goals, we will not act. There is no motion. The second one I mentioned, goals determine the intensity of action and quality. And the third one is that goals, achievement of goals brings relief and rest, so that we have energy for the next step. So that's why accepting this paradox between end goals and behavioral goals, taking them together is important for us. Now, how neurosemantics help us resolve the paradox is that the first one is, so this is going into the how to, yeah, of resolving this paradox. The first one that I notice is in terms of meta programs, to notice the classification scale meta program. The classification scale refers on one end of the spectrum is black or white, either or. At the other end of the spectrum is the multi-dimensionality of the spectrum. So from the meta program of classification scale, what we do is that to bring our operating of that meta program into both and rather than either or, rather than operating from this, now it's both and. Both the personal goal and the universal goal, which is the action, both the personal goal and the action are important. To be able to accept that, to be operating from both end. So both goal and action are important. So that's one from neurosemantics perspective. Another one is in terms of information staging. Information staging is about foregrounding information or counting, and the other end is backgrounding information and discounting. So using this meta program, this way of thinking, what we say is that we are counting the actions, not just the end results. So for example, I set a goal of getting 8 new clients for this year. I want to have 8 new clients from my business for this year. Yes, I'm counting how many clients I'm getting from my business this year. I'm also counting what I do in terms of marketing, in terms of promoting, in terms of all the behaviors that will lead me to those clients. So I'm counting those as well. So in this way, we are bringing the paradox. Instead of either or, it becomes both and. So counting the action, not just the result. And the third one is also from the meta program. We are talking about the interactive meta program. On one end of the scale is the behavior of competitiveness. This is the win-lose behavior. The other end of the scale is the behavior of cooperative collaborativeness, which is win-win. So this is the spectrum for the interactive meta program. So using this meta program, so I'm good. We bring ourselves into the win-win aspect of the meta program. In my drive to achieve my goal, I'm also taking care of the quality of the action that I am doing, because it is the quality of the action that counts for the universe. So in as much as I'm achieving my goals, am I actualizing people in this in the process of my achieving the goal? And somehow accidentally I flipped through magazines from my handphone. Somehow just this evening I was reading an article about some pushback against Kamala Harris's management of her office staff, because quite a number of people are complaining about her chief of staff creating a toxic work culture in the White House. So this is what we are referring to. The quality of the action needs to be taken into account. Win-win, meaning to say I win in achieving my goals. At the same time, the people surrounding me, they are winning as well. And how are they winning? As I'm bringing the whole team to achieve the goal, these people are developing in themselves, becoming more of themselves. Okay, so these are from the 3 meta programs. Another 3 that I can make out, the fourth one is, this is from the well-formed outcome patterns. I mentioned this to BJ just now. From the well-formed outcome pattern, I picked out 2 criteria. One is the criteria of making sure the outcome is compelling and motivating. The outcome here refers to both the end result and also the action outcome. Make it compelling, because for many people in organizations, when the outcome is not compelling enough, they are not working and they stop moving. So there is no precession. So as a leader, the key issue here is to communicate to the people to make it compelling to them. So this involves a certain kind of conversation. In the meta coaching conversation, we are going up the ladder of importance. Why is this important to you? So creating that compellingness in that particular behavior. And also from the well-formed outcome criteria, to quality control the outcome to make sure it is balanced and ecological. So this one I mentioned to BJ just now. This is one of the characteristics of self-actualizing human beings, is that the end does not justify the means. So as I go for my end goal, how I interact with the people in achieving that, the means, must be equally justified, that it is ecological, it is healthy, it is resourceful to the people around me. If in achieving my goals, I am not doing things that are helping, growing the people around me, then the behaviors that BJ gave the example, people experiencing ill health in their lives, those will come in. An example that I can give in this context, I will not mention the names. However, there is this particular very popular talk show in Hollywood. It's been going on for more than a decade already. And I think it was early this year or late last year when the talk show host announced that they have decided to stop the show altogether, because about 2 years ago, because the show is about showing care and compassion to people all around the world. So bringing that message of care and compassion, and yet I would say the team making that show, they are living a life full of bullying and toxic work culture. So this is where when you are not taking into account the means to achieving the end, then you are creating a toxic environment that causes the whole organization to suffer in that way. So to quality control the outcome to make sure that it is balanced and ecological. And the next one is about linking the intention to the action, to the behavior. So this is the intentionality pattern that we have in neurosemantics, because for many people, because they are so lost in the doingness, in the busyness of things, they are tired, they are expending energy. When they lose sight of their intention, that's when they lose the energy to do that. So as leaders, to be able to communicate to the people about the intention behind the action, because this gives the energy to power the intensity of action. Otherwise, the intensity will fade and the action will reduce. So to link the intention to the action. So as leaders, what we are doing is that we are going into the conversation of meaning making with the people around us to get them to latch to their highest level meanings about the behaviors that they need to perform, so that they are able to reach their highest level intention. In that way, they are performing at their highest and best. So from the neurosemantics perspective, for me, I would say in the last couple of years, when I begin to unpack this so-called paradox between goals and looking at it from the neurosemantics perspective, then I realized, so this is how I'm able to resolve this paradox in terms of how I behave in real life. Okay, so I'm going to pause over here and invite any comments from any one of you. And I noticed that from that, because when I put in the slides, I cannot see new people coming in. So thank you, Satria, Tingwi, Mark has just joined, and Fuchi Tong. Thank you for joining. Comments. So BJ, go ahead.
Oh, I just was holding my pen up, but okay. The patterns at the end, when we talk about the well-formed outcome, where we make it compelling, and motivational. I see where this is quite easier to apply to self. Where it's a challenge I see is in executives, where the goal is not meaningful to the team, right? It's a ROI to a shareholder. You know, no one gets excited about that. And so it's, we have the action is the goal, not the goal is the goal. And so our executives really need to be able to have this conversation around the action, to link the action, to create some intentionality where their action is compelling and motivational, and of course, ecological.
Yes.
Because for the senior executive themselves, it is there. You know, we achieve this number and I get this. For the team supporting, it's yeah, I think if we look at a team as a pyramid, the further each layer we go down, there's another conversation, because whatever that activity is must be compelling and motivational.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for bringing that up, because as a coach, what we do, and when I talk about coach here, leaders needs to be coaches in that respect.
Yeah.
So when we are communicating to those people, to be able to bring their intentionality to the level of their cognitive development. So because different people, they have different stages in life. Their level of cognition are at different levels. So that is where that coaching conversation is about bringing that person to the highest level of intention according to their cognitive ability.
Right, and map that to their leading goal, not the lagging goal.
Yes.
Because the lagging goal may not be of interest.
No,
and,
I mean, if I'm working for the company at, say, at the supervisor level, the company getting 20% profit this year. So
yes,
yeah.
Right. But yeah, your leading goals that lead to the lagging goals, which could be recognition, promotion, perks, or even some other value-based activity that you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. So the distinction that you brought up with the leading and the lagging goals, I think is a very important part to take away.
Thank you. Yes. Any other comments? Marilyn.
I have a question. So following up from what BJ said, right? So yeah, if the rest of the staff cannot see the organizational goal or do not relate to that, does that mean that we need to find a goal that they can relate to that resonates with them? Then it will become more personal for them, right?
Yes.
It's not so much working. Yeah. So does that mean like it's no point to share with them what our company goals are, or?
We need to, because they need to see the bigger picture and also what relates to them. Because when they can see that their behaviors here are contributing to the bigger picture, that also creates a certain element of motive for going forward. Because human beings want to be part of the bigger whole. So when they can see that, hey, I am a part of this bigger whole, so that creates a sense of significance in themselves.
Okay. And how do we drive them? Do we drive them, you know, according to the organization goals or according to their individual goals?
What do you think?
Keep them motivated. How do we drive them, you know, like to keep them motivated, to keep them, you know, on top of things? Do we refer to our organization goals when we do that, or to their personal, you know, goals, what they can relate to?
Both.
Okay. Because I do find that problem. You know, what BJ brought up is, yeah, because we've always been driving the company goals, and along the way, people just like, huh, so what, you know? Yeah. and yeah, that becomes a problem.
So this is where, Marilyn, you are familiar with WIIFM? WIFM, what's in it for me?
Yes.
Yeah. So when we talk about, so as a leader, you talk to your staff about the organizational goals, and then you relate to what's in it for them personally when the company achieved the organizational goal. So that conversation going into organizational goal and bringing it back into individual goal needs to be a regular conversation to keep them reminded when the company achieved this goal, this is what you'll benefit. So to have both. So this is the meaning making process. So I mean, you've probably heard me say many times, the job of the leader, the primary job of the leader is as meaning casters. You cast meaning. Because the people know what they need to do. You employ them for the technical expertise. So let them perform the technical expertise. Don't get in their way. All that you need to do is to cast that meaning, to connect with a higher meaning and bringing it back to their personal meaning and having that connection all the time. So I'm deliberately making my hand go. So you go up the higher level meaning and bring it down to personal, go up again. So it's continuous process. So that's why a coaching conversation is a regular, normal, ordinary conversation. When you have the skill, that normal, ordinary conversation is a coaching conversation.
Okay, I don't have that skill yet. But thank you. That's why I'm here to learn. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so just moving on to a few final points that I would like to bring to our attention before we end. This relates to this bit about true purpose. So we mentioned that it is the action. It is the action that we do in pursuit of our goal. That's the true goal, because this serves our true purpose. And the next question that most people ask, so what's my true purpose? So going back to the bee and the flower and its true purpose. As the bee on a daily basis flies to the flower, collecting nectar to make honey and all that, does the bee know that it is causing pollination that is supporting life on Earth? Marilyn, I've never talked to a bee before, so I don't know the exact answer.
Actually, neither do I, but I'm just guessing.
So, however, I'm guessing that the bee doesn't know. All that the bee knows is that I need to collect nectar and make honey. So, as Dr. Richard Buckminster Fuller said, just as the bee is a honey bee, human beings are money bees, busy on a daily basis, collecting money. So as the honeybee doesn't know its true purpose, neither do human beings know their true purpose. So that creates a dilemma. So if I don't know my true purpose, what do I do? This is where we are so grateful to giants who come before us, as Bucky Fuller puts it. If we want to know our true purpose, all that we need to do is focus on the action and ask ourselves, is my action bringing benefit to others. The term that Baki Fuller used was add value. Does my action add value to others? So when our action, when our behavior adds value to others, Baki Fuller says that you can rest assured that you are serving your true purpose. So I'd like to bring to your attention this beautiful quotation from Baki Fuller. He said it and people take it as a quotation. You do not belong to you. You belong to the universe. That is where, when I know that I am serving my goal, achieving my goal, I need to realize that I am not alone. Whatever that I do in this universe must be in the service of this eternally regenerative universe, because I don't belong to me. I need to serve the purpose of the universe. And the next sentence that Baki said is that the significance of you will remain forever obscure to you, just like the bee will forever not know its true significance. But you may assume you are fulfilling your significance if you apply yourself to converting all your experience to the highest advantage of others. So whatever little knowledge that I may hold in my hands, I want to convert it into action that not only benefits me, but also benefits others. So this is where the role of the coach leader is bringing people to achieve their goals and actualizing the best in people at the same time. That's where it makes sense. Because as I'm going for my goal, my behavior is serving the people who are around, applying myself to converting all of my experience to the highest advantage of others. So if around me, I know that my behavior is serving the people around me, I need not worry about the specificity of my true purpose. I can just assume that, because that's the prerequisite. So this is where this thing about the end does not justify the means really makes sense. We need to make sure that the means to achieving our ends are ecological, are beneficial to the people around us. And to end off that quotation, make the world work for 100% of humanity. And that's a big thing, because we tend, because our own limitations, we tend to think about what benefits us. So we need to move to the system perspective to be able to see, okay, what will benefit 100% of humanity in the shortest possible time. So meaning to say, I cannot dilly-dally. I need to give my full energy in bringing, when I say bringing benefit, so bringing benefit to humanity from what I have. For example, you throw me into the swimming pool, Marilyn, in all probability, I sink. So that's not the area that I'm going to venture into. So that's your area that you venture into. So that's what, meaning to say, I am bringing the benefit to humanity according to what I have. So we have limited amounts that we have already actualized our best. So to be applying in that, yeah, through the spontaneous cooperation without ecological offense or the disadvantage of others. So when we apply ourselves in to the best of our ability, bringing in the benefits to ourselves and also at the same time the benefit of all the people around us to our maximum capacity, then we can rest assured that we are serving our true purpose. Yeah. So that's basically where I would like to end for this evening, that I would just like to summarize what we have for this evening. Is just that when we talk about the goal, is not the real goal, meaning to say our objective, our goal that we set, even though that is not the real goal as far as the universe is concerned, when I apply myself to going for my goal in ways that benefit humanity, then I am in service of the real goal of the universe. So I'm serving both. So it is not about either or. I'm serving both goals, both at the personal level and also at the universal level. So, and to me, this is my own personal experience, because even before the COVID-19 came, my business has not been doing very well. And when COVID came, it just went to zero. And this is where understanding this gave me that energy and hope. Because when my business just went down the drain like that, and I was struggling, and I was, the term that they use is pivot, how to pivot, and all of those things, finding what is it that I need to do. And the light for me is to ask the question, what is the best way that I can serve people at this point in time? So that was what gave me that energy. Because in terms of goal, I can't see my goal anymore, because when COVID came, I don't know where my business is going to be in a year's time. So that's how okay, so what do I have with me? I have the skills of neurosemantics. I have the skills of coaching. So what can I do with this in order to help people? And I noticed that with the lockdown, people are affected financially. Okay, I know a little bit about creating wealth. So I created that creating wealth program, so that maybe some people can benefit from it. So even though there are times when you are in the dark, deep well, and you cannot see the sun, you cannot see the light, understanding that it's the action that you take is the most important thing in life. It's just to latch on an action that will bring benefit to someone or something, and just do. Okay, so with that, I'd like to invite each and every one of you for your questions or comments that you may have. Just go ahead.
I'd like to thank you, for bringing benefit to this universe of 13 people. And much like the swimming pool behind Marilyn, there will be a processional effect as his knowledge drops in us. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you, BJ. Appreciate that. So may I open it to each and every one of you? If you are ready to go, just go ahead, your comments before we end the session. Let me invite, going to the top right side of my screen, let me invite Guat Ching. Guat Ching, is there anything that you would like to say? Okay.
Thank you, Marzuki. I appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you, Guat Ching. And Wafa, are you able to speak?
Yes, I'd like to thank you so much. I really appreciate the information and the knowledge that you share. For sure, we have some insights. You give us some insights on that. Just maybe I want to add, I think also we have a prior exercise to do before to set a goal, or even to set the action to this goal. is to determine our values. I think the values is so important in such a process, to see where we are. As you said, it's not about either or, it's about and. Me and others, me and the universe, the organization and me is not either or. But to know where I am, if I am in the, let's say, the good way, I think it's really important to know my values, what's important to me as a value, to know if it is the good or, let's say, the ecological or quality control of actions based on that also, on the values. I like also the quotation you mentioned at the end of your presentation. It was great, and I think is a summary of all what we said and what we also expect to have in the universe to be better, or let's say better place where we can live. Thank you so much, Marzuki.
Thank you, Wafa. Appreciate that. And Mr. Halim, are you able to speak? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks, Marzuki. That was very enlightening. I was just thinking to myself how your true purpose, what you say about true purpose, how does it equate to religion? You know, I mean, being a Muslim, actually, our true purpose in this life, I mean, is to worship God for what the blessing that He has given. So yeah, I mean, is there any connection to what you mentioned just now? I mean, just thinking aloud or thinking behind. I'm sorry, guys, if we touch some sensitive issue on this. Marzuki, your comment?
Thank you. Absolutely. The point that Wafa mentioned, values. Religion brings us a certain set of values. So a person who believes in Islam, the values are driven by the Quran. The person who believes in Christianity, the values are driven by the Bible, and so on. So religion gives us the guidance to what values are. Basically what's important. Things that are important to you are what you value. So depending on whatever religion, you have different values. The thing is, how do you apply those values in life that can create harmony in human living? So that's the challenge for each and every one of us. So my way of looking at it is that neurosemantics and NLP gives us the structure of human experience. Understanding the structure of human experience will make it easier for me to implement the values in my life. Otherwise, I'll be struggling. How do I implement this win-win thing? Because part of what comes through neurosemantics, the behavior of self-actualizing human beings, is win-win in the context of religion as well. I'm not familiar with other religions. However, in the context of Islam, it is stated that none of you truly believes until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. So that's the value of win-win. So how do I apply that? So from neurosemantics perspective, what I'm so grateful about, it gives me the ability to unpack the behaviors, how I can behave according to those values. So that is why when we learn the structure of human behavior, go back to the values that drive or should drive our life. And for me, one of the things that I value about neurosemantics is knowing how to run my brain. And because religion is important to me, I'm able to approach my religion from first principles. first principle, because for example, in Islam, the first principle of religion is there is no God but Allah. So approaching that from first principle to prove to myself that, rather than just assume. So, and I would encourage you to, whatever religion, whatever value that you have, to think critically so that you run your life according to your values, according to how you think critically about it, and not just follow what people say. I hope I've not talked too much, because okay, let me just mention my beef here, is that people interpret religion according to their personal gains. So we want to be careful in that sense. So that is why I put the responsibility on myself. So when I say that I'm a Muslim, I put the responsibility on myself to learn Islam in the right way and not to follow Islam that has been interpreted by people who have a certain gain in it. Okay, so enough said.
Yes, I apologize, guys, for bringing up the religion bit. I'm so sorry.
No need to apologize, Cik Alif, because this is where we learn to appreciate the differences in one another. That Marilyn has a certain way of looking at the human life. BJ has a certain way, and the way that thing we see about life is different from the way that I see. The key thing is to be able to live together amicably despite our differences. And that is also what I'm grateful to Neuro-Semantics. For those of you who are familiar, the story of the Christian, the Muslim, Christian, and the Jew stays with me forever. To be able to interact with people that I have a disagreement with, and yet to be amicable with one another. So that's for another story. Those of you who came into my program, you may have that story of the Muslim, Christian, and Jew walking down the road. Thank you, Alif.
Okay, free at last, free at last, free at last, as Martin Luther King said, from all religious backgrounds. So irrespective of your religion, there are human principles. And we shall agree that at least godly religions have a lot of common principles. And we have to be cautious when we deal with the inner game, I shall say, the inner game, when we interpret religion. So make sure you are interpreting religion appropriately. Well, there are so many interpretations, but at least keep up with human universals. That's my first point. My second reflection is on the coaching practice that we as a community of coaches. While you're trying to focus so much on results and on the outcome during a coaching session, you're gonna lose a lot, because clients may change their goals in the process. They might start with one goal and then find another. They may come to you for a clarity conversation. So focusing, you as a coach, focusing too much on the goal may spoil the whole thing, because you will not focus on the process. Because you as a coach, you will help them find objectives. They may come up with a general goal, but they're not keen on steps or on small objectives. So you shall work with a certain degree of uncertainty while coaching, and playing or trying to find out the real goal, trying to help the client to find the real goal, because the real what is not actually what they say at the beginning of the session. Most of the times it's not the real what. So try to be helpful, focus on the process rather than the results, because there's no guarantee that the what that the client comes with at the beginning of the session is the real what. So do not spoil the whole thing by focusing on the goal. Focus on the process, and then things will get clear step by step and as the session advances. And thank you for this marvelous session. It gave me a lot of ideas and insights. It raised my awareness regarding certain things. Finally, it's the process that counts. It's the action. It's the clarity that we make, whether to ourselves or to others. This win-win situation, working towards winning you as a person and towards making others in this universe win as well. So thank you so much, and that's it. Thank you for all the attendance.
Thank you, Karima. Mark, you have anything to add?
Hi, Mr. Mazuki.
Hi, Mark.
Good evening. Totally enjoyed your session again. I think it's really interesting to understand that we're part of a bigger goal and universe out there. Just doing our part to making sure that this place is a better place for everybody. I'm also very happy to understand things a little bit better for the paradox as well. Looking there are 6 steps or so to be able to look forward to be able to apply. I totally enjoyed the true purpose part of it, and where you end it with true purpose. I think that's something which I would like to go back and look into it a little bit more deeper. What's the true purpose of life, and how we're going to move on from here. So thanks again, Mr. Mazuki. Very interesting day again. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. And Sharifah, how's you?
Hello, Assalamualaikum, Mr. Marzuki. Thank you very much for inviting me to this session. I'm not a certified coach or whatever, but I've always been interested in the psychology of leadership. Like you said in the beginning, leadership is not just at the, like career-wise, but as well as being a parent in the family, you need this aspect. I was out for a few minutes for the prayers just now, so I think I might have missed something, but I understand that you will share the link, so I will listen to this one more time. But my take out from this is very similar to the book that I read by Simon Sinek, Start With Why. In the book by Simon Sinek, it says that that the best kinds of businesses or approaches is when you know exactly why you are doing it in the first place. And so to me, what you have shared is really looking at things from the bigger and broader perspective. And that's very similar to starting with why. So that's my take back from the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And Satria?
Okay, thank you, Tamazuki, for letting me in also. I was late today, but as usual, mine opening as usual. I like to follow your sessions because it, as an entrepreneur, that opens up a lot of window in terms of how you manage other people to deliver. And I like the point where the meaning that you have drives action. And here, of course, again, if you have an organization and people working for it, you need to understand that the goal is not really the same for everyone. Everyone has a different goal. So it's very intriguing. And I think a lot of this can be applied in entrepreneurship, especially in Malaysia now. I think many people are jumping into that because they are losing jobs and all that, and they become instant entrepreneurs. And I think this mindset or this thinking skill is very, very helpful there. So I don't know, probably we can get in touch to discuss something there. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll be happy to discuss more. Yeah. Going on to Tingwi, go ahead.
Thank you, Mazuki. So I echo Karima sharing. it resonates so much, because sometimes we're too hung up with the goals, and at one time I starting to wonder that I actually don't have a lot of goals, and I question myself, am I something wrong? So actually, I think throughout the process, whatever we do, we develop into next level. Like we build a lot of resiliency, we become better person. And the goal is not a goal because when you grow up or when you grow further, you realize that at one point of time, that goal was just history, because today you're a better person, you're version 2, the goals no longer mean anything to you. So I think I'm more confident that now I'm not something wrong. I'm not someone, because I do not have like really a big goal. So I'll just use the last word to conclude. It is just use the Nike word, just do it.
Thank you, Tingri. Thank you for that. And Sakina?
Hi, Mr. Marzuki. It's always a deep thought, always a deep thinking whenever I attend your sessions. It's always critical. And one thing that from Karima, from Ting, and from everyone that I feel, this one quote that always come into my mind every time everyone give them opinion. So I have my own, which is I feel like in life, happiness is the journey, not the destination. So I can conclude that we enjoy our journey. It's better compared to, we think too much about our destinations. And in terms of organizations and also in terms of leadership, I foresee that every organization where we can see the established organization, they always have this mission and also vision, and it always come, although, I mean, for the government also, if they in certain department or in this certain ministry, it's always have a mission and vision, and how they have to propagate, the leader have to propagate about the mission and also the vision to all the staff and the employees. So how to make them feel like they are belong to the organization, how they can contribute to the vision and also the missions. So I find it it's a very interesting topic, and it's good for the businesses and also us who are struggling to find our purpose. Thank you so much, Mr. Marzuki and everyone.
Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, Sakina. And Marilyn?
Thank you, Marzuki, for sharing, especially about your business, what's happening now during the pandemic. I think, we're in the same shoe. And, but I feel that I'm the opposite of Tingri. So many goals, but don't, too afraid to get started because, want to make sure everything's perfect. Yeah. So thank you for this session. It really, it's a very good, the timing is very apt as well to really get me moving, reminding me that, yeah, it's not about the goal, it's about the action precession. When I move, things will move around. So I think that's really, that really hit me hard today, and to stop just thinking and planning, but to actually take action. And we end up at the same place, think we just do it. Yeah, so thank you for that. This is very timely, very apt. And I'm really grateful my brother and business partner is here. So, we can set more goals and start moving regardless or not whether we achieve it.
I'm wondering whether does that involve the organic, best tasting ginger beer in the world?
Just one kidding. Of the many.
Just kidding, but I'm serious. Thank you. And last but not least, BJ.
Halim's question about how do we apply this to religion, I'd just like to add one small piece to that, and that a value is a higher level belief, right? We believe many things, but the ones that we orient our lives around, we call values. When we integrate values to a certain degree, it can become our identity. Where the challenge comes up, and we've heard this, I think, in many of our clients, and I think even in the wrap up, some of you have shared this, is the cognitive dissonance, where our brain, we talk about the paradox of the goal is not the goal. The paradox within our brain is cognitive dissonance, where we're able to hold two opposing ideas at the same time. And we do see that many values are contextual. I may be contextual around my religion with my family, but man, I'll tell you, work is a, kill or be killed thing, and if I'm not out there, and so there's a different context. And in the context of work, someone can have a different value system. Even so, this is where coaches can bring a lot of clarity to conversations, highly skilled coaches, and like Karima has pointed out, that we don't just take the goal and run with it, but to have these really powerful, deep conversations. What is your true value? What is the identity you want? And do we have to reconcile something contextually? Is there some cognitive dissonance that has me without any goals because it's just so much, or too many goals? So this is where, as you continue working with Marzuki and learn more about the power of this model of coaching, you'll see life just becomes more elegant. So thank you. I wanted to share that, Marzuki.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Vijay. When you say about the cognitive dissonance and how people contextualize the behavior, I don't want to add any further, because if I were to add any further, then we'll go for another hour. However, really appreciate that very much. So with that, everyone, thank you very much. I really appreciate you all being here. I would like to honor your being here. I look forward to seeing you again. So with that, good night, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and may God bless all of you. So hope to see you again somewhere, sometime in the future. So stay safe, stay well. Thank you. Bye.
Okay,
Bye,
bye-bye.
Ms. Marzuki.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.